Because I agree, this is not, and a lot of you lived through the $10, right? The $10. I mean, it's a big deal. And I won't lie, I was a little frustrated myself. But here's what I've done since I've sat in this seat. I've learned more about sanitation than I ever thought I would.
Or that you thought was out there to know.
I did. I didn't realize what went into this.
Yeah.
I have talked to Owensboro, Richmond. I've talked to more cities than I care to know. So I'm challenging our public. Go out and talk to people, because I'll be honest with you, when I tell people how we do it, they're like, wow. Wow. You are so lucky, right? You must have a revenue stream that's unlimited.
Sure.
And that's not the case. So I'm glad we're taking our time on this, because I do think it's very important. And I don't want anyone to think out there that all five of us, all of us in this room, are taking it serious, even yourself, I know. So again, I remember the $10 pay for your Herbie thing that everybody was, and I didn't know what I didn't know. So
Yeah.
I can tell you that I mean, charging for it it's a big decision, because now,
Item number 5 under discussion is solid waste discussion. This is just a continuation of the past few meetings, and Sarah gathered some additional information that was requested from the board at the last meeting.
Okay, so I tried, hopefully, to take everything that we've talked about over the last several conversations that we've had and kind of distill it down into a few, hopefully, straightforward tables, so it's mostly numbers that we're talking about. Okay, so if you guys recall, when we started this whole conversation, I said that in my opinion, we had 3 options moving forward. We could do nothing, we could institute a fee and we keep collecting garbage, or we can privatize the solid waste service. So what I've done in this presentation is come up with the cost to do each one of those, and in the end, we'll compare what that looks like across all 3 options, okay, so we can discuss. So first, the do-nothing scenario, and by do-nothing, I mean we continue on as is. We're not planning to really upgrade much. We're not increasing services. We're not hiring any new people. We're just going to keep on keeping on. So the items you see here are the projected FY26 budget, the costs that we talked about last time that weren't included when we discussed this previously. So all of the insurance, workers' comp, all of that. And that is just the solid waste portion. That's not the entire cost for the city. It's just for solid waste. And then capital expenditures. And the reason there's 2 is because some years you might buy 1 vehicle, some years you might buy 2. So that's the primary difference you see between the 450 and the 900. Other things kind of lumped in there, building improvements, security, ventilation, HVAC, and then some sort of routing software, which I think regardless of what we do is something that kind of we need to look into. So it comes to a total, and this is an annual cost, and I circled the high number because, well, one, it's safer to assume you're going to spend the higher number, but if we continue doing what we're doing over the next, year or 2, we're probably going to have to put a little more in up front to get the fleet in a little bit better situation. Okay, next we have the solid waste fee scenario. So last time we talked about this, and I believe Lisa brought this up at the last meeting, I'd come up with a number that was like $25, $26 per household, but those insurance premium, workers' compensation numbers were not included in that. So Kathy and Jason actually helped get all those numbers together. And so we've included that in this total. We also included an estimate for third-party billing. So it includes a one-time setup fee and an annual software fee that the city would pay. I did reach out to OpenGov, and I haven't heard back yet to see if they have something that would be available to help out with that. So that's an unknown. This was just based on searching nationally, kind of what the ranges are. And I actually estimated a little bit on the lower end of the ranges, not the lowest, because it's not the most complex billing service, the service that you bill for. And we're a small-ish community, not huge. So That number comes out to $33.87 per resident per month. I should say also included in the additional staff, that's like one additional driver and one admin to kind of help. Trash is what we get the most calls on, period. If we were to continue doing the service and implement a fee, the calls are gonna, it's a full-time thing, probably, I think. So that's what that number comes from. Then on to privatization. So this is kind of an overview of what we've talked about the last couple times. I've just pared it down to responder A and B, and these costs at the top 4 rows there, that's cost to the city, depending on whether you do biweekly or weekly recycling. The listed cost per resident is what they're charging the city per resident. It's not what they would charge the resident if we built them. Those amounts are slightly higher, and I can pull those up in a minute if you need to see them. So, I mean, obviously, if this is the route we choose to go, we still have some decisions to make in terms of which option we would go with, but the lowest of those 4 listed is, biweekly from responder A at $2.425 million per year. Possible savings that we might see, we'd have a one-time saving of getting rid of our fleet, or most of our fleet. That range that's listed there is based on responder B actually gave us a quote, as we talked about before, of 1.4-ish million to purchase all of our vehicles. If we were to keep a few, we think it'd be closer to maybe like 1 million-ish. So that's what that range is there. Another possible savings over time, which we've talked about, if we go this route, we're not letting anybody go, but if over time you guys decide to lower staffing levels through attrition, looking at just the solid waste staffing, it's approximately 76,000 per full-time person per year. Okay. So the costs associated with that, you've got your annual costs, your staffing costs, and your one-time fleet management or fleet sales savings. So year 1, you're looking at 2.7 to 3 million, and years 2 and above, you're looking at 4 to 4.3 million if the city pays the bill. So the biggest, well, the difference between year 1 and year 2 plus is obviously the fleet purchase price goes away, right? That's a one-time thing. There's also both responders included a scheduled increase annually, so that's included in there, as well as just general like staffing costs going up. Yes, so all those numbers in one table, hopefully. I was trying to make this, I really struggled with, and I think this has been the problem with our previous conversations, is it's really hard to talk about these things and compare them because they're not identical services, right? So I did my best to come up with the monthly equivalent or actual cost to the resident and the annual cost to the city for all 3 services. I know there's 4 listed there, but that's just the difference between biweekly and weekly for privatization. Does this table make sense? Okay. So that is essentially my presentation tonight. What kinds of thoughts, questions, ideas, concerns do you guys have? Or recommendations?
So on this page here, in the fee scenario, if
Yes.
we pass that on to the public, that is a weekly recycle?
Yes. The fee that I came up with was for overall kind of improving our services, getting back to a weekly pickup. Yes.
The $33.87, correct?
The $33.87 a month, yes.
Does that include, just made a note on that, I was gonna ask you, I didn't want to interrupt you.
It's okay.
So the solid waste fee scenario, does that include, that 3387, does that include any funding for capital projects?
It includes funding, let me go back to it.
Like, are we estimating buying new trucks?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
So all the costs listed in this table are incorporated in that 3387 a month. So it's meant to cover all solid waste services in its entirety. Yes.
Sorry.
Put it back on the table.
Actually, no, I don't, I was just thinking out loud in my face, I
Well, on
apologize.
that, on Commissioner Richardson's question, so in that solid waste fee scenario, we're just averaging it, we're assuming we're gonna purchase the truck and a half a year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Some years one, some years two, okay. And then on the privatization scenario, pay for service, maintain staffing, that's assuming, the staffing cost, 1.4 million, that's assuming we keep everybody on the city
Correct.
payroll and nobody goes to the
Correct, yes,
privatization.
yes. That 2.66 to 2.954, that assumes that we pay the bill, we sell all or most of our fleet, and that staffing levels are maintained at 100% of what they are right now.
And that's so the private company would hire all new people,
Correct.
which is high, that's unlikely.
Right.
We're gonna have some of that, so
I'm
that's our
sure.
worst case on
I
staffing
did go
costs.
through, if you guys are interested, and kind of look at, just like, say we did this, and during the course of all of this happening, 3 of our employees left. That would be approximately $227,500 that year that we would not be spending. Okay, and then let's say on kind of the other end of things, let's say almost everybody leaves, because we have 3 Tier 1 employees, which probably would go nowhere, and 2 Tier 2 employees, but let's say 5 or 6 people stayed and everybody else chose to leave, you're looking at $758,000 in personnel costs if you don't rehire those positions, yeah. So it's,
Say
you
it
know.
one more time. I was still stuck on the 220, I was.
no, it's okay. So if you look at the total personnel costs in solid waste and divide it by 19, just pretend everyone makes exactly the same, it's $75,827 per person per year that we're spending. If 10 of those people decide to part from the city on their own, $758,000 that year that you're not spending in personnel costs. Does that make sense? Okay.
So in the year one cost comparison, in that scenario, it's gonna be, it's gonna look even better by $750,000 or whatever that is.
I'm saying, yeah.
$750,000.
Yeah. If 10 people were to say, peace.
And we would still have
somewhere else.
9 people working within the city on other things now. So we've
Correct.
bolstered so in that first year, we're saving money. And we've also have 9 more people helping out in other capacities, streets,
And that was my thing.
beautification.
Well, and do we not have other, I mean, I know we hire, like, other work that we hire for, even if it's seasonal work, it's work that can be done throughout the city, people that we already have. So there is maybe a savings somewhat, it's just not actually in your department.
Correct, yeah. I mean, yeah, how
How we
the
disseminate
employees,
that,
yes, how the employees that stay on are utilized is, a discussion to be had. I've certainly thought about it a lot, but
Commissioner May?
For my clarification, the
Yes.
3387 under the solid waste fee scenario,
yes,
we're only talking about, we're talking about trash and recycling,
correct,
just
yes.
that.
We would
Inclusive,
still have our-
wouldn't do yard waste, we wouldn't do
Well,
bulk.
we
or will
currently
they
do
that?
those services now, so
Yeah.
my thought process is that we would continue to do those.
Okay,
And probably do them the same way we're doing now, like scheduled and, but yes, that would include, bulky item, yard waste scheduled was my thought process.
okay. It does include it in the 3387.
I would think so,
Okay.
yes. I wouldn't anticipate doing away with that if we're doing it now.
Right.
All of that effort and all of the personnel costs and the equipment costs associated with that are currently included in our budget, so, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Commissioner?
Okay, freshman cap on.
Yes.
And these daggone tiers that y'all be talking about, tier 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And me and Jason just talked about this. Don't be mad at me. Tier 1, 2, and 3. How many employees are tier 1? Or also, we could do this another day. but
That's
I'm
okay.
just-
In solid waste, we have 3 tier 1 employees.
And that's like the tier, right? Like that's the one that
I mean,
you're
it
like
depends on
locked
who you
in. you're-
ask, but I believe,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Got it.
Yes.
2 tier 2.
2 tier 2s and the remainder
Okay.
tier
Out
3.
of 18.
out of 18 or, I think, we're at 17 or 18, yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
No problem. And,
Commissioner.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Back to the tier employees. Of course, anybody at any time is welcome to pursue whatever
Right.
employment they wish. I would be shocked if your tier 1 or even tier 2 employees chose to leave. I might be wrong about the tier 2s, but the tier 3 employees, knowing what I know about some of the staff members, I think there's even a handful of them that really value being at the city because of the type of work we do and because of some of the benefits of being here. So I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think more than half, probably not even that many, would be actively looking to go, but I don't know what might be offered to them, so, I could be completely wrong, but, yes, sorry.
Well, it's $1 million question, and I mean, you don't know. I can tell you, I would say your tier 2 and 1, they're not gonna go anywhere. And it would come down to whatever the individual, private industry has benefits that government work does not.
Sure.
You just
And
have to
vice
weigh
versa.
that, right? I guess my question, Mayor, would be to the board was, I think we're looking at, and I'm assuming from this report, we're looking at a couple different topics here. One being, do we privatize it and pay for it? Or do we keep it in-house and do we charge for it? I think those are the discussions that we need to have, because I think they're different topics, right? Whether if we privatize and pay for it, or so I guess the thing is, are we going to charge for this service? Or are we going to keep like we have it and pay to privatize it? Or obviously, you've given us numbers, if we do nothing and stay where we're at.
Yes.
Quite frankly, the do-nothing scenario, probably the one thing that I've pointed out, wrote a note, if we do nothing, if we just keep it, we drop it, okay, hey, this was, not that we wasted our time.
No.
But we have to have new trucks.
Yep.
That we know that, and we kind of know what they're gonna cost. So I think we're to the point of those two issues. Are we charging for it, or are we
Yeah.
paying
And
for it?
when I was putting this together, originally I wasn't even going to include the do nothing. And then I crunched the numbers and thought, no, I need to put that in there for comparison purposes, just to see that it's not actually that far off from some of the other things we're talking about in terms of overall cost, whether that cost is paid by the individual or by the city. It's not wildly different. So I thought it was worth having it in there for comparison
I think it's
purposes.
a good thing. I just now all of a sudden, we've went from not charging, and I think Commissioner Smith-Wells said it, I mean, $30-something a month, $33.87 may not seem like a lot, but that's a lot of money, I mean, for a lot of people. The reason I brought this up in the first place was obviously sustainability, and we've got to do something. I know there's communities around us that don't pay for the garbage, but, and maybe it's down the road we look into this, but, I'm just looking to save money, to use city money for different ventures that we have going on that we know in the near future without tapping into our reserves and looking at our revenue stream over the next, I know we're going to grow. I know we have some big things on the horizon, but I don't count my chickens before they're hatched. And I'm just going to base on this budget we have now, which I think we're doing great. I just don't want to I think this is a way that I want the community to know. The reason I looked into this was we could save a little bit of, $500,000 may not seem like a lot of money to people when it comes to our budget, but that's a lot of money when it comes to things that we're trying to do within the community. And I don't even want to go through the list of things that are out there.
Certainly.
Commissioner?
I also just want to kind of echo that, when I look at this 3387, let me back up. When we approached this conversation, it was because I feel like to our core values, transparency is key. And I feel like, once again, I'm doing a disservice if I'm not exploring all the options that the city has in front of us. Second part, 3387, as a single mom sitting up here, I'm looking at this from all perspectives. So to Commissioner Richardson's point, what we decide up here, we also take on as citizens of Frankfort.
Correct.
So I just also wanted to say thank you for trying to clarify all the parts of this. But in terms of the community and what works best for them, but still while saving money and being sustainable for future generations, I'm not going to be here forever. But when Milo turns 18 and he decides to have his first apartment, what does trash service look like? Is it convenient, or is it still where we're at right now? So I do want to keep the fleets up to date. I don't want to have to keep coming into these pickles that we're in and like, do we do a truck or do we stop recycling for a certain, so I just kind of wanted to publicly say that because I feel like it's important that we're exploring this option. But currently, right now, a few things look best for me, but I'm also reflecting on it as a citizen as well. So I just want to say thank you for providing this information.
No problem.
Commissioner May?
As we continue talking about what route we want to go, are there communities that have, could we pay part of it and then pass the rest of it on? Like, what if we just put in our budget, we're going to write a check for $1 million to company A or company B?
Yes.
And cover that 3.6 or cover that, and then the rest of it, so we could bring, if we go fee route, if that's what we choose, I mean, we could cut the fee down.
We
still-
could.
And still save.
We could.
Us
Yes,
money at
that
the same time.
3387 is assuming that the fee the resident pays 100%
Right.
all of the solid waste services. If you guys want to look at it, a shared approach, that can happen. We can also do that with the privatization. I mean, they did quote us rates that they would charge if they build the individual residents, which, like, the $18.99 is actually $19.99 if they bill it directly to the citizen. So, I mean, but there's room there too. I mean, we could, like I said, the contract, if we choose to go this route, is not yet written. So we can explore, yes, there can be a sharing of costs if that's what the commission wants to do. Yeah.
I'm curious about logistically how difficult or easy that is. I mean, is it truly, that quote is not going to waver from, if we go with what we see up here, what would make it change the final? Is there anything they can do in the contracts that say, well, that's a pretty hard estimate, but we may come back at the year and say we need a little bit more? Or will that be an easy thing for the city to take on? In my mind, I don't like splitting up bills and like, you pay some of this and you pay some of that. I feel like it's a logistical nightmare. I could be completely wrong.
I suspect, having not talked to the responding companies, since they gave us the rates that they would charge an individual residence, they're building into that quote their inconvenience, right? Their work,
Yeah.
their potential losses from bills unpaid, et cetera. I suspect if we went to them and said, hey, we want to go kind of a hybrid route, we're gonna pay $1 million and you're gonna bill the customer for the remainder, I suspect they would just do the math and lower the customer rate and be done. I haven't asked them that specifically, but they've already given us quotes to
Right.
do the billing and the collecting.
Okay.
So they've already considered that an option. And us paying, say, $1 million is just one more bill. It's not 10,000.
fair.
Right.
Yep.
So
Okay. Thank you.
I suspect that's not a big deal.
Okay.
So it's privatize or not? And then that's the first question, and now we're on the clock for that because we have a couple of proposals out there that have the
Correct.
time, the deadline. And then it's, do we charge for it or not once we've made that first decision? And I think what my worry if we privatize is there could be a drop off in service. I'm sure there's residents who've had we've skipped them on a trash week, or we picked up their trash can or something, who would, they would probably say that, there's always going to be people that complain about some part of what we provide. But I do think, though, that, there is something about, if it's city provided, it's hard for a private company to care as much about
Sure.
the community.
They don't have the same pride in
as
the-
we do. And I think I worry about that drop-off, potential
Mm-hmm.
drop-off. I understand, financially, it makes sense to privatize. I get it. And that's my only concern is the drop-off. On that, whether we charge for it or not, personally, I'd rather not. I think, we charge a property tax, but an occupational tax, I think, within the money that we raise from those, that's what we need to provide all of these services for. But on the other hand, I realize that just every other community outside of Franklin County in the state charges some type of fee for this, whether they do it in-house or it's charged by a private company. So I realize we're an anomaly here in the state. But I just like the fact that we do it here in Frankfort, Franklin County. It's a service. Perhaps we don't get the credit for it that we deserve in the community, because it is something when people, they're quick to compare us to other communities and wonder why they have this, or why their tax rates are this. But this is something you're not paying for in Frankfort and Franklin County.
Correct.
So that's for me where, well, we don't have to make a decision tonight, but that's where I stand. My thinking on it right now, Commissioner.
How many, I left my other notebook at home. I wrote it down, I swear. What day, what's our deadline? And then when do we have a Public Works and Infrastructure Committee meeting? Is that going to be before the deadline or after? And I'm saying that to say because I would love
I don't have my calendar
citizen
on me.
feedback as
Jason
well.
can check on
I'm
the
trying to
meeting.
look, it's not on my calendar for some reason.
I
It's
think the
this
Public
month.
Works
60
and
days.
Infrastructure Committee meeting will be in March, I
March.
believe. We opened bids on January 6th,
And we had 90
and we have
days.
up to 90 days. They have to honor their quotes for 90 days.
So we're pushing it to continue conversation at this point now, is what it seems like.
March, okay.
Okay.
March 17th is the Public Works Infrastructure, okay.
Yes, Commissioner Richard.
I just want to add on, Mayor, what you're saying, and I completely agree with the mayor. I think we do a great job with our sanitation pickup. I do. Very unique to our community. But part of it is, and I'm going to go on a limb here, and this is probably not popular, I get beat up constantly for decisions and things that we don't have. I'm going to bring a topic up, is a swimming pool. So I'm going to just look at Amber in the back, is if we charged, and I'm going to go, if we went privatization, meaning the best bang for the buck, and the individual paid $18.90, that's I'm going on your numbers, $2.6 million back in our budget. That would help on a bond payment for a swimming pool. Am I correct on that?
You are correct.
So part of it is, I would advise the community to get involved on things we do, because the mayor made a good point. We don't get a lot. I realize everyone's garbage needs picked up, and it's done great, but we get ridiculed for things we don't have.
Right.
And the bottom line is, there's only so much money to go around.
Correct.
So I wish it was different. I want a swimming pool. I want 2 swimming pools. I'd love to have a pool in my house. But my point being is, you gotta pay the bills.
Correct.
And the bills are public safety. We've gotta provide city hall. We have to pay these bills. I get so, I'm really passionate about this. And I would, call me. I can explain to you our budget. Maybe not as well as Amber, but I'm versed enough on it that I want to do what's best for the entire community, and that's what I'm thinking about when I'm sitting up here. Again, I'm still indifferent about all this. I like all this information I got, because I gotta go home and digest it a little bit. But again, I'm with the mayor, that we don't get a lot of credit for times the things that we do, but we do a good job on sanitation pickup.
I agree.
But sometimes we've got to choose where that money's got to go. So again, sorry, I get all. This is not, and a lot of you lived through the $10, right? The $10. I mean, it's a big deal. And I won't lie, I was a little frustrated myself. But here's what I've done since I've sat in this seat. I've learned more about sanitation than I ever thought I would.
Or that you thought was out there to know.
I did. I didn't realize what went into this.
Yeah.
I have talked to Owensboro, Richmond. I've talked to more cities than I care to know. So I'm challenging our public. Go out and talk to people, because I'll be honest with you, when I tell people how we do it, they're like, wow. Wow, you are so lucky, right? You must have a revenue stream that's unlimited. And that's not the case. So I'm glad we're taking our time on this, because I do think it's very important. And I don't want anyone to think out there that all five of us, all of us in this room, are taking it serious, even yourself, I know. So again, I remember the $10 pay for your Herbie thing that everybody was, and I didn't know what I didn't know, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, Sarah.
So we're looking at